Great, awesome. Okay, so this evening's session, we're going to be looking at something that's quite interesting. And for me, I find it fascinating. And it's something that I learned many years ago, but it's coming to the fore more and more as I'm going through talking to people and interacting with people and those kind of things. So it's a very similar thing. And some of you probably have heard of it. Oh, no, I need to do that first. I need to do that there. Okay, then we minimize that and then we share screen. There we go. Share screen. Perfect. Great. So for me, I found this particular topic actually quite fascinating and very interesting. And the topic is called 6 degrees of separation. So I don't know if you've ever heard of 6 degrees of separation or ever seen
yes,
how
I have.
Exactly. So, and there's actually a movie on 6 degrees of separation, which is actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
So for me, I find it extremely fascinating. And as we go into the holiday season, and as we start looking at where we're going to be and what we're going to be looking at for 2020, relationships play a very big role. So for those that don't know, what does 6 degrees of separation mean? Okay, the idea that anyone on the planet is connected to another person through a chain of acquaintances with no more than 5 links, 6 degrees, has been referred to as 6 degrees of separation, as well as it's been referred to as the small world phenomenon. How many times have you actually heard yourself saying, God, when you meet someone, gosh, and they know someone, you say, gosh, it's such a small world. And we actually have probably said that quite a few times in our lives. So that is the small world phenomenon. It's actually the 6 degrees of separation, which means that in essence, quite scarily, is we're all connected. Okay, so we're all connected somewhere along the line. So it's not a myth or anything. Case studies have been done with this. So researchers at Microsoft studied records of 30 billion electronic conversations among 180 million people in various countries, according to the Washington Post. Now, the Washington Post doesn't generally lie. It's not like the report. Okay. So this was the first time a planetary scale social network has been available, they observed. So obviously with social media and things started saying, okay, now we can start monitoring how people connect. So the database covered all the Microsoft Messenger's instant messaging network in June 2006, equivalent to roughly half the world's instant messaging traffic at that time. So that's what I find actually quite fascinating, is that they actually had a means of source to actually study something that was spoken about centuries back previously. So degree of separation is a measure of social distance between people. You are 1 degree away from everyone you know. You're 2 degrees away from everyone they know. And so it goes on like that. So when we have a look at this particular picture, can you connect yourself to George Bush, the president of the United States, through only 6 degrees of relationships? Now, who was the president that was before Donald Trump?
Obama.
Okay, yes, thank you. Now, you won't believe this, but I literally was 4 degrees away from actually being able to meet Obama. So it just shows you it's quite interesting. So through studies and experiments, it proves that any 2 persons in the world can be connected to around 6 other people. So I used to train with a lady that came from America, an African-American lady, Stacy. Now, Stacy's husband actually was one of the co-founders of Dell Computers. Okay. So it just shows you. Now, I've just trained with Stacy. Stacy came to South Africa. We ended up on the same training course together, and we co-trained together. We loved training together. And then I found out who her husband was. And then she said to me, listen, we need to form women leadership. And we actually called it Now to Next Leadership for Women. All right. And the very person that we wanted to bring in with us, she actually was the second, or the it's not a secretary. I don't quite, not a secretary, but not a PA, to Michelle Obama. Okay. So she was on the call. I was on a Zoom call with this person that literally had tea and coffee with Michelle Obama every single day. So you can think about that. 1, 2, Michelle Obama, 3, and we could have literally met. If I'd gone across there and we'd pursued with this, we could have literally had tea with Michelle Obama. Okay. So it's crazy. You don't think of your connections like that. But when I looked at this here with George Bush, I thought, oh my word, I was actually 4 degrees away from literally, if I had pursued it and gone that route and gone overseas, I really literally could have. And the only reason why this all fell apart is because her not Stacey's husband, the other lady's husband, I don't want to mention her name, her boyfriend actually got kidnapped by the FBI. And so we had to hush everything and stop everything. So it was like, it's so crazy that when I watch movies and I don't even think of these things until I started looking at this degrees of separation. So when you're planning for 2020, you need to build in who knows who knows who knows who that's actually going to be able to help me to achieve the dreams, goals, and missions that I want. And you're looking for like-minded people. And it's not as difficult as it sounds. It's just we need to build relationships with the person you know and build relationships with people, and just so people connect you. Now, Anton, you yourself personally, coming from the financial industry, what the number one thing that you always asked whoever was with you is, can you give me names of 3 friends that could tell you about this? You know, so automatically you would go into that referrals. And that's exactly what referrals are all about. It's about who knows who knows who knows who knows. And yet we're too scared to use referrals or find or ask questions because we're scared to sound too nosy, or we have no right, or whatever it is. So this 6th degree of separation literally could be used, not manipulated, but actually used correctly. So interesting. Okay, so here it is. In 1994, students at Pennsylvania Albright College invented the game called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, in which the challenge was to connect every film actor to Bacon in 6 cast lists or fewer. Okay, so they actually started this game because they also thought, how practical is this? Bacon thought the joke would die out, but when it didn't, he launched a website called 6degrees.org, bringing together people interested in helping good causes. So if you actually want to start up a charity or you want to help somebody, go on to 6degrees.org and start connecting with people that are already in that industry. So it's interesting how we can actually use the 6 degrees of separation. He said, sorry?
6degrees.org. Very interesting.
Very interesting, hey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Bacon said, I thought it was definitely going to go away, like the 8-track cassettes and the pet rocks. Who painted a pet rock at school? I definitely did. In fact, I've got my pet rock here, something that I gave my dad, and was one of the things I got back after he passed away. So I still have
Mine
my
had
pet
a frog under it.
My pet
in
rock
my biology lesson.
Yeah, my pet rock I painted in standard 1. Can you believe it? So it's a very old pet rock. Okay, but it's a concept that is sort of hung around in the, how do you pronounce it? Zeitgeist. Zeitgeist.
Mocking minds kyk.
So zeitgeist, or whatever you however you pronounce it. Zeitgeist, says Doc. Okay, is the definition. Okay, it's defining either a spirit or a mood of a particular period of history shown by the ideas and beliefs of the time. Okay, so that was like, for example, the story was captured in the zeitgeists of the late 1960s. So that's what zeitgeists means. Okay, so let's have a look at old Kevin Bacon's 6, how it actually worked there. So starting from the beginning, okay, that's 1 degree. So somebody knew somebody. Okay, so this knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who knew Kevin. like, or acted with them, or whatever it might be. So map it out for yourself, and you'll find it extremely fascinating if you actually go back and say, I wonder how I met that person. Or next time you meet someone, gosh, it's such a small world. All right, map it out for yourself, and you'll start seeing how really fascinating the 6th degree of separation is. So it's a concept that's really, really interesting. And of course, Facebook just blows this out of the water. Facebook's calculated the average degrees of separation for their users in 2016 was actually 3.5. Okay, so be very careful who's writing stuff on your Facebook posts, because you don't know who knows who knows who knows and what they're saying. All right, so just be aware of that. So I found this extremely fascinating. Now, six degrees of separation and networking. Okay, what is nice to realize is that this concept is closely related to that of any form of networking, network marketing, networking as in connecting with people, those kind of things. Okay, thus it's a professional and business practice based on the creation of a solid and useful network of contacts. So therefore, we can't abuse the system. We must understand that this is actually a really massive way of identifying who knows who. My father always said, it's not what you know that plays a more importance, it's actually who you know. In addition, because networking is a fairly effective way to get a job, then it's highly encouraged among university students hoping to integrate into their job force. What made me think of the 6 degrees of separation is one of my Facebook people, her son, because he's just now matriculated and he's a white male in South Africa, and he can't seem to find any job. He can't get into university, although he's got the credentials to go into university. He posted a nice Facebook. In fact, I think I took a screenshot of it. A nice picture of himself. And I thought to myself, that's the kind of person that I personally actually would like to employ. Because he says, okay, there it is. Here. Something. I'm based in Pretoria. Traveling or relocation won't be a problem. Sober habits and willing to work hard. Please share and give me a chance to get employment. I'm willing to do anything. Best regards. And there's his name and all the rest of it. So he actually used Facebook, which is bound to be someone. And immediately I looked at that and I thought, you know what? I'd love to give that person a chance. I'd love to. I don't know what, if I had my fully fledged department running as it is, I mean, I could really see this young man doing something. He's in Pretoria based. And so it shows you how quickly you can actually utilize, because somebody's going to know somebody who's going to know somebody. And he took the boldness to use Facebook to actually say, hey guys, this is my situation. I cannot get into university. I cannot, because I was one of the white minorities that didn't get accepted into what he was wanting to study. So he's willing to start somewhere. So there's a way of actually using your connections. At this point, 6 degrees of separation theory comes into play. It's a way to establish interesting and profitable professional relationships. So when you start considering and start looking at how this actually works and who's connected, don't abuse the system, but use it saying, hold on a second, where do I want to go, what I want to achieve, and how do I need to get what I want to get? So for example, I personally know, and Doc personally plays golf with a young man who supplies food to Woolworths. All right. And he's got his own warehouse and all the rest of it. And he supplies the Angus steaks and a whole lot of different things. Now, not everybody understands that that's a very powerful connection. So anybody who's in, let's take Leonie, for example, she might be desperately, her order doesn't arrive, she can't, her supply is out of stock. She says, oh, you know what, I remember Doc Michelle said that she knows somebody that Doc Ann played with. So already that's 1, 2, 3 degrees of separation. Doc Ann connects her, he finds out, and the connection gets done, and maybe their food gets delivered in time. So that's how powerful this can be. And I don't think we actually realize that we don't listen properly to who's doing what. And we don't take cognizant effort of what people around us actually do and what their skills and talents are. So for example, I there's a lot of examples that we could do. I've just given one already. And it's important for us to realize how valuable the 6th degree of separation actually is. Michelle Rogers walked into my office today and said, hey, do you know of a good orthopedic surgeon? Was it orthopedic surgeon, Mish? Yeah, orthopedic surgeon. And I said,
orthopedic.
Yeah, orthopedic surgeon. And I said, gosh, I don't know, but perhaps this person will know. Okay. And so automatically she said, yeah, she was going to ask that person anyway. So now we both commonly know an individual that's a doctor that might actually know. So Vilma, if you know a very good orthopedic surgeon, will you please let us know? Because Anton's in a lot of pain. So
Yes,
we
I
know.
will.
Thank you, because he's in a lot of pain and we desperately need an orthopedic surgeon because he can barely even walk and he's crawling on the floor in pain, and so he desperately needs a good one. So, but if we don't start saying, oh, hold on a second, Vilma's connected in that industry, she might know somebody. So hey, Mish, if you do, Vilma, contact Mish, let's get this going. Anton, I need him back at work. Okay. But you see how important it is for us to understand. Like Doc knows that Wayne does blinds, and so he sees somebody that says, oh, we need to put some blinds in the office or whatever it might be. I know someone.
We need one of those.
Blinds.
Yes.
Please speak to Wayne Hawkes. He supplies and puts and installs blinds. Okay, so there we go.
We're in contact.
Yes.
Also, Wayne, you see,
it's 1 degree.
that's 1 degree. No, 1 degree because you knew me, who knew Wayne. Now it's a 2 degree. Okay.
2 degrees.
But if we don't start talking about it and start being very conscious and aware of who's around us and what they do, and actually ask for legitimately, so what is it that you do for a living? And cognitively, I remember learning this from, and I still do it as a habit, is it was one of the network marketers. I just can't think of his name now. If George was on, he would tell me exactly who it was. Is George on? Let's see. George. No, he's not here. Anyway, it was a really, gosh, man. What was that guy that I had breakfast with from America, that network marketer, the short little guy that did a big tattoo?
I don't know. He skis very well.
Skis extremely well, and you follow him on Facebook. Okay.
Todd Falcone.
Todd Falcone. There we go. See, Todd Falcone. Now, Todd Falcone actually taught us to always, on your phone, when you capture a person's details, capture what they do. Okay, capture immediately what they do, because if you capture what they do, then you can always Google, or not Google, but you type in blinds, for example. So I've got there Wayne Hawkes blinds. Okay, so if anybody says, do you know of anybody who does blinds? I can go on my phone and now type in the word blinds, and Wayne's name will come up. So it's so important for us to realize that if we don't do that, then when we're looking for something specific, we think, gee, I wonder who, I can't understand, those kind of things. And so he always said, write it down. And if any vitally important information about that person, for example, do they like dogs? Do they like cats? Do they, their birth date, whatever it is, just write it in the notes section. And then always have the birthday popping up. Either normally pops up on Facebook or have it pop up on your diary, your calendar. But it's important to understand that. There we go. Now Leonie needs Wayne too. So there we go. So Wayne, awesome. And it's so cool because when you use it the correct way for the right purposes, it actually works out, and it's a very powerful tool. Okay, so let's have a look here. Here's another example. The doorman of a hotel knows the owner of the hotel, and they in turn know the owner of another more prestigious hotel. He or she in turn knows a senior government official who happens to know the president. So you literally are, okay, as you can see, only 5 connections. You've gone from the hotel doorman to the president. But we don't think of it like that. We really honestly don't think of it. I mean, the one of the other gentlemen that I used to, what's the word? I don't want to say register, when I used to train in government with, he actually, really nice, amazing guy. He actually was the bodyguard for Mbeki. So that's like 2. Okay, my boss knew him, so it was 1, 2, 3 away from Mbeki. So, you're going to start saying to yourself, hold on, how do we use this so that we can enhance what we're doing and add impact to other people's lives? And that's why I'm starting to think about this, because I need to get my academy up and running. We're almost ready to go. And we're about to be the only academy that not only teaches entrepreneurship, but we treat entrepreneurship based off godly principles. But by the time they leave our entrepreneurship program, after 18 months, they will, because they will be mentored through the process, earn $1,000 a month. And that is going to be an accredited course. So it will be, and Anton's playing a massive role in that, because he does all our financial side to it, and making sure that we're teaching the right stuff from the legal backgrounds of companies and all that kind of thing. And Marina's our administrator. So we know for a fact that this is going to be, we're the only entrepreneurship program that will ensure that people have money from the project that they're doing when they leave the program. Every other entrepreneurship program teaches entrepreneurship, but then they've got to go and source their own funding at the end of it. And that's why we don't have entrepreneurs in our country, because they do not have the finances to go and do what they want. And we will enable them to be able to go and do what they're passionate about when they have this recurring income of a minimum of $1,000 a month coming in after 18 months. And I know that that's for those that are taking it very slow. And so I'm very excited about that, because that is what it is all about. And I'm now starting to think of who knows who to actually start impacting this nation and alleviate poverty. Now, the next time that'll probably be put in the report, but it doesn't matter. So note that such connections don't necessarily have to be too close or intimate. In fact, in most cases, they won't be. Further, you don't need intimate connections in order to establish a relationship with a mutual acquaintance. So don't think you have to build this deep, deep, deep relationship, but it is about when you treat someone with respect, and you know how to treat them as an individual and a human being, and not as a piece of meat and abuse them because you know them. Okay, when you do that, everybody's actually willing to help anybody else. Even you will be more than willing to help someone if they actually came to you through that. Thanks, Wayne. It's going to be really, really, really great. And we're so excited about it. In fact, if you go onto the back office and you go to Educator tab and you go and click accredited courses, you can already see Skulk's 26-minute beautiful interview on what we actually stand for as Academy. And then there's a couple of Q&A as well, but that's sidetracking. Okay. All right. Having the skills to establish a relationship with anyone is a seemingly simple way is incredibly useful for professional opportunities. Okay. Also, it's sort of entertaining to think about how many relationships you might need to be able to reach just about anyone in the world. And so for me, that was extremely just a fascinating concept, because I'm trying to start. In fact, the module that I'm working on right now for this curriculum is actually innovative thinking. And because I'm working with innovative thinking, I'm now starting to say, okay, how do I grow this? Because one of my goals is to obviously impact, not obviously because it wouldn't be obvious, is to impact Africa. All right. So I want to make sure that I've got about 1,000 students a month enrolling on this process. So when we grow to that, Anton nearly fell off his chair. He actually said, you know what, why not? We can do this. Okay, we're just going to have a very big building of staff to manage it and monitor it, because every 10 students will personally have a mentor. Okay. And if they personally have a mentor to take them through this process, there's no reason why they can't succeed. And if their mentors fail, I'll just fire the mentors, not the students. Okay. So don't put your hand up too quickly to be a mentor. But do you see how important it is for us to connect? And when you're going into 2020 and you want to expand your businesses in 2020, we need to start saying, hold on a second, I need help in this area. Who do I know that might know someone that I can have a conversation with, that I can actually, and always remember, if you're having a conversation with someone, because you might want to glean information from them, or basically ask them what they're doing and how they're doing it. Always take them to lunch, okay, and pay for their lunch. Don't abuse the conversation time, okay? Always pay. Either you pay the person individually for their time, But most people on that higher level that you're looking to actually help you out, if you offer to take them to lunch and say to them, I'd love to do a brainstorming session. I've got to ask you a few questions. I respect you in your industry, and I'm having a problem, let's say, for example, in growing my academy, in whatever it might be. Go and sit with other people, take them to lunch, but pay for their lunch. Doesn't matter what they order. Just don't take them to the Wimpy. I wouldn't suggest that. Okay, please. All right, do not do that. But pay for their lunch, pay for their time. And you'll be amazed, and go prepared with the questions that you would ask these people. You know, I mean, Sonia of all people would know how important it is before you sit into an interview, when she's interviewing people for jobs, to have your pre-prepared questions, because you need to sound professional, you need to sound that you're interested, and know about the person, you know, get some information about the person that you're going to have a lunch with. I'll never forget, John Maxwell taught me this principle. And he said that he wanted to know, because he transitioned from becoming a pastor into teaching biblical principles in leadership without actually punting the Bible. Okay, so that is my precepts and my grounding that I come from, is to teach God's principles without, so that you can teach it to anybody. And then when they ask you, you can always say, this is where it comes from. I get it from God's word, you know. And a lot of people ask you, so who wrote that? And I'll say, a friend of mine by the name of Peter. I read him every single day. He's in 1 Peter 2 verse. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, no, it's out of the good book. oh, my great friend Job. Oh no, Job and I, we're really good. You know, he taught me, and I mustn't get swallowed by a whale. You know, that's what. And people appreciate you sharing God's word from that perspective. And John Maxwell actually said that the one time he really wanted to do that transition, but he had to go and speak to one of the very top leaders at that particular time in leadership training. He flew across America, made his lunch, and he even found out from the PA, what is this cool drink that this gentleman likes to drink when he sits down and has lunch. He pre-ordered the cool drink, so that when the gentleman sat down, and he said to the waiter, when this gentleman sits down, I want you to bring the cool drink. So literally, as the guy sat, the cool drink arrived, the one that he wanted, whether it was whatever, okay, Coca-Cola, whatever, it arrived at the table. And to that extent, you win credibility over with the people that you meet, because you went the extra mile. And that's how you treat your 6 degrees of separation, if you want it to actually work for you. Right. I know Doc is listening over there. Do you want to add anything? Do you want to come say anything? Does anybody else want to say? And I would like to know, as I said, it wasn't going to be a big session this time, but it was a very, it's something for a lot of food for thought. And then I'd like to know what you guys think and your experiences of the 6 degrees of separation.
Okay.
Right, go for it.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Well, in terms of the Zeitgeist, which is German,
Zeitgeist.
ja, ich kann Deutsch. Du hast es gewusst, nicht so? I'll speak enough kitchen German for you to get scared, okay?
Yeah, he speaks Chinese as well, Michelle. I told Michelle about your Chinese that you speak to your girls.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
no, I speak Japanese.
Oh, Japanese.
Japanese. Okay.
Can I teach you guys all one good Japanese word that you teach your teenage daughter in Japanese? Zeppikukitu. Yeah, I think you got it. I saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, guys. So back to the topic tonight. Sorry.
6 degrees
6
of
degrees of
separation.
separation. One thing I have seen, because obviously Michelle and I, having been dealing with people, this thing of connection, of who knows who, is actually a very, very powerful thing. I saw in this week, purely because I was privileged to know one person. I want to give you a testimony. We had 4 major problems with 4 major organizations. And because I've got a relationship, not somebody I know, but I've got a relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to his office, we had coffee, and we literally shook hands and said, let's help one another make a difference in this country. I had 4 different organizations with major problems under severe pressure. And this person, unfortunately, was taken up in hospital and was sick. But because of our relationship, made available his personal connection, who knew how to pull the magic to literally override the system and to make something that will take 6 months happen in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And literally bend the rules which is absolutely just a God miracle. Only God can do that. And I want to testify to that. I give God the glory for having opened up those 4 companies and making them operational, all in a matter of, call it half an hour each. And that's only because of this principle, 6 degrees of separation. Because I had a relationship and he knew somebody that had the magic to do it. Right now, while we were busy, I had to urgently do something for the attorneys. Michelle Rogers is one of you on the call. And as a team, just because of the degrees of separation of the 3 people that helped me, we were able to deliver. Thank you, Service. I appreciate it. And I can tell you that the one that's not here is Shalane. Shalane actually was the magic rabbit out of the hat here. But it just showed if we pull together, because we know who can do what, we can produce results. So in terms of putting our heads together, I think this team can literally go to the next level in terms of who do we do business with. You do know that one of the things that Academy is going to line up for us through tech is that out of all of our people, you'll have who are the electricians, who are the hair, nail ladies, who can fix cars. So we literally can have a list of services of all our members. So
who's an orthopedic surgeon?
Yeah, so that we can actually support one, like blinds. You only go to Wayne Hawkes, you don't go to anybody else, because we now know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So just that's my value add, and that is that it is real, it's effective, and well, we sometimes live it without realizing it. This week I saw the power of one good relationship solving 4 major things, and also with a bit of a miracle from the Lord. It was just fantastic. And a mini miracle happened while I was busy. I was listening to all of you because I do understand zeitgeist, because Michelle says to me, how do you remember this stuff?
Pronounce it? Like,
I said, well, I had psychology 2 and 3. I should remember that stuff. Okay.
But there was a long time ago, and I thought maybe this was a little bit cobwebbed.
Who thinks this is an old man? I've got a lot of chutzpah still. Don't you guys think I'm an old man? Watch out.
Awesome. So who would like to share what they got out of this session? Right, just unmute yourself and go for it. Right, Vilma.
Well, it makes you think of who you actually are connected to, unwittingly so. And in my line of work, I looked after somebody called Paul Lusaka. He was the American ambassador to Zambia.
Wow. Wow.
And I looked after him, and he was directly connected with Bill Clinton.
Wow. You see, 2 degrees, 3 degrees separation.
Yeah. And then I looked after Albertina Sisulu, who actually shares the same birthday as I do.
Wow.
And so through her, Walter Sisulu and Mandela.
You see.
So, yeah, I've had a couple of interesting, that makes you think as to where you've actually, your journey has actually taken you. And you're sort of a little bit blasé about it because, but it is a true story.
Yep.
So, yeah, interesting. And I'm definitely going to start being more aware.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And conscious of it, and just understand how now I mean, so basically now we go from Kasta to you to Sisulu to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's how far Mandela's was away from her. You know what it's the reality.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. But we meet a lot of interesting people. Hey. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there we are.
So go.
You're all connected, guys.
Exactly. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Within 6 degrees, we got some heavy hitters around here, right?
Yeah, amen. Yeah. Awesome. Let's keep hitting. Yeah. Now we need to do that in networking.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the sad thing is that we don't really use the connections we have to the possible extent that we could.
Exactly.
And if we only would.
Exactly. No, you're so right, Vilma. Absolutely. So right. Wow. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
I actually want to start looking at my wealth, because you have separate meetings for that now.
Yes. I think you and I should actually grab a coffee. We should actually make a face-to-face coffee.
Absolutely.
Holidays are coming soon. Yay. Awesome. Wilma froze there for a second. Okay, so while Wilma's frozen, Liz, wait, Liz, yeah. And then Leonie.
Okay, so one of my previous pupils was one of the SRC for one of the universities.
Wow.
And he's now pursuing a political career. And it is like he's in Cape Town, busy with all this. He was nominated or voted in or whatever now in the last election. So he's got that connection.
Wow.
And another young man studied in Pretoria, and he studied engineering, and he's met some amazing engineer that is building bridges in Africa. And I'm like, when he sends the messages on Facebook, and I'm like, what are you doing, Aaron? It is so amazing to see how these children have grown.
Wow.
and where they are going in life. I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, can you believe it that, yes, you can. My grid is looking for a certain type of metal piping to complete their project, and they want to know where it can be made in South Africa. So maybe it might be worth your while asking this young gentleman to chat to Skulk, because maybe he might know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. Because they're importing it in from China, so it's taking, one, it's very expensive to bring it in, and two, with COVID, hardly the ships are even arriving. So if they could find that kind of metal that they need and those pipes that they need and whatever thickness, he might just know somebody that makes them. Because with building bridges, they also need that very, very, very strong steel. So maybe just drop a WhatsApp to Shoal or Skulk and say, hey, listen, what is it that you're looking for? Let me see. I've got a connection that might know. Drop that information to him and see what happens.
I can do that.
Love it. Thank you. Thanks. Awesome, Liz. Thank you so much. Leonie, yes.
Yeah.
2 degrees, Morgan Freeman.
2 degrees, Morgan Freeman. Okay, bring it on, girl. Yeah? How did that happen?
Yeah. He was actually, when they shot that movie based on Nelson Mandela's life, they shot you on location. So the producer, I've got a picture of him on the stairs. Starstruck much? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Oh, so it's now 3 degrees for me.
3 degrees for you. Yeah, but I'm a fan of relationships and networking, because I used to, since the days that when I was in corporate, I was in customer services and Rihanna was in technical. And I'm a firm believer of where your relationships and connections take you where your skills can't. So you need to know what your skill set is, and where you can't utilize your skills, you need to know of someone who can, or have access to someone who can and enhances that.
Absolutely. So, that's why Doc married me, to enhance his skills, his weaknesses.
Yeah, everybody needs Michelle.
And vice versa, obviously, and vice versa. But it's true in what you're saying.
Sacrifice is better than faith.
Awesome. Michelle, Anton, what have you guys got to say?
Doc, as Wilma said, she's 6 degrees. I am 2 degrees with Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, you
with
see.
With the 2000 floods in Mozambique. I was tasked to thank, he called and said we need to thank the SA Air Force and the Defence Force for helping his then wife, Gwasa Michelle. So I did a function in the State Theatre for 1,500 people, and his bodyguard was Captain Bond, and I was Major Van Damme. So we laughed a lot about that. And yes, then I was asked to do his 85th birthday at his home in Houghton.
Wow.
So that is, so that is how
and
close
you know
I was
Zelda as well.
Yes.
You see,
you know Zelda too.
you see, she knows Zelda, you know Zelda, like, check this. It's crazy when you start talking about it to people. It's interesting.
Very, very true.
Connections.
Yeah.
So Wilma, well done.
I'm
going to contact you about those blinds.
Awesome. Has Anton gone to bed?
No, Doc, he had to take a call.
Okay.
He'll be back now. Okay, it's a work call.
If anybody,
Okay.
if anybody's going to need to speak to the Minister of Health, Mzweli Mkhize, I can help you. If you like to speak to
Well,
King
you
if you'd like to
Not
speak
that
to,
he know a good orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah, does he know?
I could have
We'll just quickly
connected
phone him.
you.
if anybody was to speak to
Connected
King
you to
Goodwill's
Jabalala
I can help
Amsterdam
you.
Yeah, I actually
for your
got
potatoes.
Did you guys hear that one? You want to speak to King Goodwill's Villatini? I can connect. I met him personally. It's
Very
crazy.
nice.
Okay, I'm 1 degree removed from King Siswati
Yeah,
in Swaziland because I met his wife personally.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
crazy who you meet in the industry that you're in.
I have Malema's cell phone number on mine.
Okay.
Correct. As
Not
in
that I
her.
phoned him.
But she had Malema's cell phone on her phone. Correct.
Yeah, I was going to phone him when he first came in, and I thought no, because he needs some coaching and some counseling because his parents died when he was young, and he really needs some coaching. He needs a mentor, and that's how come I got his phone, and I never ever phoned him. I actually WhatsApped him, but he never answered me back. Anybody else? Arno, Fernando, want to add?
Oh, what else we got? Musi Maimane. We
I
know
don't have
Musi.
any, I don't
Yes.
have any degrees, but I'd really like to borrow your vehicle, your Back to the Past.
Back to the
You
past.
men- you men- Yeah, we mentioned you're looking at 2020 3 times.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna go to 2022. Hey,
I
okay.
want to go to 2019 in May to rectify a mistake.
Yeah, no, then we'll go and rectify the COVID mistake if we can go back. Sorry, not 2020, 2022. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Sorry, just pulling your leg, Doc.
2020 vision, Michelle.
It's a 2020 vision that I was giving you for 2022.
You've got to be
Oh,
honest.
you ladies are
2020
sharp.
helped everybody.
Very sharp.
Yeah, but you know, you're talking about 2020 vision. So you know, that's exactly what it is.
Awesome.
Well, the reality is 2020 made a mark on everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, no, definitely has, hasn't it?
Back.
Yeah, but 2021 must run away now. I'm done with it. Arno, you want to say anything? Sonia? Yes, Arno.
My wife's father actually studied with Evie de Klerk
Okay.
in Potch. They were in the final year together. And my father was P.W. Botha's private secretary
Well, I'll be darned.
when he was Prime Minister, Minister of Defense, and then Prime
Yeah.
Minister as well.
Wow.
So yeah, it's very important to, like
Never
you
know.
said, to
Yeah.
jot down what people do,
Yes.
so that you can remember that when you build relationships and stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm going to brag with Michelle quickly. She's been in the home of Dr. Bruce Wilkinson. Not many people can say that. I mean, that guy is my spiritual hero of all time, one of the best teachers I've met. Obviously, we've met him and his wife, Darlene, but Michelle was in his home, had a braai with him. Another guy is who we both have met, is John Maxwell.
Yeah, we've had dinner, lunch, supper, tea with John.
Yeah,
That's a
in his
privilege.
hotel room with him sitting in his robe. That's when you know that you're privileged to be with people.
Yeah.
And just to sit and just
Yeah.
drink from that fountain of wisdom.
Mm.
And there's one thing I just share with the group is when you're in the presence of a person like that, you just drink from that fountain.
Mm.
The one lesson I had to learn early in my life, there comes a time for me to shut up. It doesn't matter how much I know. When I am in the right company, I learn to shut up and just drink from that fountain of wisdom.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's why I say when you do get into the presence of these people, be prepared with 4 or 5 questions, not interrogation, but just wealth questions. And one of the great ones that John taught me to ask anybody, if you don't know what to say and they're a very high-powered individual and you're with them and you're kind of like, what do I do? Just ask them. So what is one of your greatest books that you've ever read that's enabled you to be where you are today? It's a powerful question. And it's a simple question. And then they'll talk about the book and then they'll tell you what it meant about them. And then you can ask, so what are you reading now? You know, because they transition in their lives, you know, and make a note of that. And then they will ask you, so what is your book? And so your conversation starts. And then whatever comes out of that book starts a conversation. Because you listen to what they're saying to you, not listening to answer them. And if you do that, you'll find that if you battle it. I've always found whenever I'm stuck, so what book is, what book have you been reading, or what book was impactful for you to get to where you are today? What book made an impression on you? And it's a bummer when they turn around and say, I don't read. Say, fantastic. So then what concepts? I've had that once before. I don't read. I'm like, okay, well, thank goodness. I was being so polite to ask you, because I also don't like reading. My mother was horrible to me when I was a little girl. So what concepts have got you to where you are today? It's like, get you through that. It's only ever happened to me once, but it is a good starter, because most people. Marina, what would you like to add?
Sorry, my phone is so slow. Well, I'm thinking now, I haven't met movie stars and so, but you guys are almost there. I got to know Willie and Shalane, and they introduced me to Mocking Mind, and then I got to know Rian, and now I'm working for you guys. So I mean, this is just amazing for me.
That's a perfect
so
example of how the degrees of separation actually have worked to without you even, and you never forced it at all.
No, it just, everything just happens.
True.
Got to know so many wonderful people in my life at this stage. So yeah,
awesome.
It's amazing.
Awesome. Thanks. Sonia, are you there? Can you tick tough, or are you going to answer? Oh, there we go. Go for it, Sonia.
Yes, I'm here. Kobus Wiese.
Okay.
His father and my father worked together for CDM Mines in Lüderitz.
Can you ever?
And my stepbrother and Kobus went to school together. So yeah, we had a lot of braais and going into Spergebied in Kolmanskop, Namibia. So, and I actually worked for a company back in 2008, South African Institute of Race Relations.
Yeah.
John Kane Berman, Frans Cronje, those guys. And we, on a monthly basis, we had breakfast briefings. And some of the speakers were like Helen Ziller, Mary Montashe, Zuma. Zuma was a nightmare. It was really. Every single person was searched before they went.
Oh, yes, of course, that's right.
Mbeki was there. So yeah, those are the kind of people that I've met through work.
Nice,
Big
Sonia.
shot.
Who was it, 2RC of the country that I trained?
Yeah, Michelle trained the women.
Oh gosh, what is her name? I've got it somewhere written down, but yeah.
She trained, she was the stand-in second in charge for the country under Mbeki. And obviously, we know Kenneth Mashu well, but that's obviously just from, because he's in the church circles.
Yeah.
Kenneth and later Mashu.
So guys, yes,
Sonia, something quickly. Is it Frans Cronje, the director, the movie director?
Yes, yeah, he's currently the CEO there now. Do you know him?
Yeah, well, it's I worked the book that I co-wrote. He produced the film that I met the director. How I ended up here, because the director here is a producer, and I met him through France.
Wow.
Yeah. So you and me, 4 degrees.
Now I have to ask you, do you know Richard van den Berg?
Yes, I do.
Me too.
You see, there it goes, the phenomena. Oh my gosh, it's a small world. What book did you co-write, Leonie?
Born to Win. It was produced on our minister's life in Sedgefield, and we in 2013 we produced the movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we want to buy your book. Come on, we'll pay for it.
Well, that was part of my past issues, because from the second issue, my name was taken off.
It's a terrible thing, isn't it?
Just one other thing quickly. Sorry, Liz, if you can get all the details, send it through to me as well, because I also might know someone in the steel industry, one of my friends.
Okay.
Okay.
That can also help maybe.
Please. Awesome. Thanks. Yes, Liz.
Okay. So in my student years, I studied speech and drama as well. So part of the practicals that we had to do, yeah, it was part of my training. So we did, I acted in Achter Elke Man, and there were 4 movies that I played in. And so Steve Hofmeyer, Danny Stini, all those, we were all on screen together. And for weeks after weeks, we were together and so on. So it was like crazy. And then we had something in the State Theatre as well, where I was on stage together with Rina Higu in...
Yeah? Wow.
What's the other lady that sings as well? That's her friend. Yeah, I forgot it now. But yeah, so in those circles also. And then when I was at varsity, Naas Bota's Karen, his first wife.
I know Naas Botha.
He was,
Yeah.
Karen was on our floor.
Yes.
So we were in the same res together.
We had
so
lunch with
saw-
Naas Botha and Karen before they went to India.
Yeah.
True.
I just remembered that now when she started talking about the movies and Hans Strydom as well. I mean, he
Wow.
was such a nice man. He was such a nice man. Yeah.
Shows
So
you.
Okay.
It is a
Yeah.
small world. We actually underestimate this
Okay.
6 degrees of separation.
Now I want to connect. Hans Strydom. Where did you meet him?
Yeah. On stage when we were together playing in one of the concerts or one of the plays that we did together, a live play on the stage in Pretoria in the Klein Theater, small
Guys,
theater.
remember in the time when he was playing a policeman? What was that thing? The toy. Okay, let's see for the older people. This is not for the youngsters. Let's see if you know the following names. Oyster Nildveld, Evan Dahlberg,
You're too old. You're too
Manuel
old.
Escortia.
You're too old.
I know him.
Okay. Yes, yeah, there we go.
I sang with Manuel Escortia.
Well done.
Who knows? This is for the manne. Eben Janssen, March Fiascanaro.
No.
Fiascanaro, he was a runner.
That's correct.
Oh, Anton
He was an
knows.
athlete.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh.
I did what do you call it? Pentathlon with him.
Oh my word.
Wow.
It's a small world. How
Constantly
nice is that?
Liz.
mother, not so.
Sorry, what's that, Wilma?
That was Dulcie van den Berg.
Yeah.
Constantly.
No. Yeah.
Wasn't that Richard van den Berg's family of hers?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Hilda in
Danny Hilda van Stevenelon.
Danny.
That's
Danny
right.
Hilda.
That's right.
yeah. They
Wow.
We're all 60 years old, but she's Danny Hilda.
Yeah, I met them at a patient's place that I looked after.
Wow.
So yeah.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
but
Tom
guys,
Steve.
this is why we share. It's not to in any way put the best foot forward, but
No,
it's actually
but-
to share the possibilities of hold on. We are normal
Interesting.
people that have met through
Yeah.
either 2 degrees, 3 degrees, or up to 6 degrees.
Yeah.
We meet these people, and if people know that, like for instance, if people are talking about leadership, if they knew that Michelle van Tonna had hooked up with the greats of the world, as in Robert Kiyosaki personally, sat
Yeah,
next to
true,
him,
true.
sat next to him, Blair Singer, John Maxwell. I mean, these are of the biggest names today in society.
Yeah, that's
And
true. Eh?
I can touch her. She sat next to her. Woo! I can touch her.
Shows you.
So Michelle,
You want to know
if
something
you
else?
were the John Waxwell trainer for South Africa, then you must know my friend Monica Groom.
Yes. That shows you.
Yeah, so
Oh,
Monica
yeah.
and I are great friends. She's
Can you?
She's
a
stunning.
Maxwell yeah, she's a Maxwell study.
Yeah.
Yeah. She went to the States to get hers.
All that scope.
yeah.
All of those people are ordinary people like us.
They
Yeah,
are
they are.
ordinary people like us.
For example,
The one that flukes the most is actually Robert Kiyosaki.
true.
I thought I fluked a lot. No, you ain't mean
No, he's
nothing
there.
yet.
But you know, who's somebody I want to stand up for is Naas Botha. When I met him, what a nice guy.
Yeah, what a lovely
I must
person.
tell you,
Him and Karen, beautiful people.
my saddest thing was that I couldn't tell my dad. My dad used to hate Naas Botha. My dad was, he was for the Free State, but because he says he never had his shorts, not even one dirt mark on his shorts. He would just this. and
That was
nobody
his
could touch him.
trademark.
My dad said, that's not rugby, but yet when he won all the tests, my dad would, yeah, it's not bad.
Liz, I need you to please
used to
contact
say,
me. Too.
on the other hand, Darren,
Yes,
Isn't
and
it
Darren. Darren.
On the other
On
hand,
the other
Darren.
hand, Darren.
Yeah,
Shame, you'll always be known for that one.
for sure.
Liz, I have been looking for somebody as a speech person, okay, or a pronunciation coach, or whatever you want to call it, to actually come to Academy to help us to actually pronounce words correctly. But they want to charge me 65,000 Rand for the day for 10 people.
Crazy.
I'm not paying that. Okay, so please let's
What are
talk,
you
and maybe you can come and help us just to do a little bit of pronunciation into to pronounce English words a little bit better. I would love to. We really need that desperately. So please, I'm serious about this now.
Okay, I'll come and visit. I'll speak to you.
Okay, awesome. So let's chat. Okay, guys, we're on the top of the hour. I found that very fascinating and very interesting. And again, sit down and start saying, where do I want to go in 2020? And remember also, you are important to someone else. So what value can you add to other people when they come to your doorstep as you being one part of that 6 degrees of separation?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, everybody. Really appreciate it. Love you all. Mwah. Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good
Great
night.
session. Thanks,
Good night,
guys.
everyone. God bless.
Bless you.
Everybody.
Bye.
Right.
Good night.